So, are you ready for economics? Let's go to the prior slide. So, now we have seen what are organized and unorganized sector. What are the features? How people are peoples are benefited in which sector, and how they are in trouble in another sector. Okay. I hope you remember this. So, today we will see protecting workers of the unorganized sector. Classification on the basis of ownership. Classification of sectors on the basis of ownership. Okay. So, ready for it? So, let's go started with this. So, what has led to so many people being employed in the unorganized sector? Now, we see that there are insecurities in the unorganized sector. Okay. There we can say the people are exploited, there are harassment, we can say. Okay. But still we see that many of the people are employed in the unorganized sector. What are the reasons for this? Let's see. The development of job opportunities in the organized sector is low. Okay. Why so? Just listen to the entire points. Okay. You'll get this. Okay. Some organized sectors job function through the unorganized sector. So, in some institutes, it is seen that they hire people for on a contract base or for a seasonal purpose. Okay. So, they prefer to go with the unorganized sector to avoid what? To avoid taxes, override employee benefits. So, to avoid all these expenses and gain more profit. If they show a number of people who are employed with them, so they come to know their turnover, their profits, and that they have to pay the taxes, they have to pay the benefits like the medical facilities, then the pension, paid holidays. All these things are the expenses of a employer. He has to give this money. So to avoid this, he will take people on contract for say some few months or 11 months or 1 year, and then they will be like by the end of the tenure, by the end of 1 year, they are being replaced by the new people. So in this way, what happens is like the salary increment, like after a year, every institute gives you a hike. Okay, a salary hike. So that is reduced. They don't have to pay them more. In the same amount or lesser amount, they can hire another people for the same job on the contract basis. Okay, maybe few months or maybe maximum a year. Okay, that is, so they avoid giving salary hikes as well as the benefits. If a person is working only for 1 year with you or few months with you, you don't have to give them the pension benefits, you don't have to give them medical benefits, right? So in this way, the expenses are lowered. Hence also the turnover also, if there is less employment, less production is there, less profit is there, this also can be shown, and with this taxes can be avoided. Okay. So in this way, some people play smart in the organized sector. Now people employed in the organized sector may lose their job and may be forced to search for employment in the unorganized sector. Now with this pandemic, this like we have like experienced or heard about, not experienced as such, but we've heard about things like the well organized sector or the well organized industries. What they did, they reduced their employees. The number of employees were reduced or they were paid on half, because they gave the reason that we have stopped the production, there is no market, the markets are closed, and that is why we are like the newcomers, those who have joined the institute newly or those who were not performing properly, they were like fired. Okay. So next, the unorganized sector has low protection and support. How can this be improved? So help provided in terms of adequate facilities of providing raw material, storage, marketing, transportation, etc. Then discrimination on the base of caste often leads to the social discrimination of the employees too. Then protection of rights and support is required to ensure economic and social development of the country. So protection of rights, right to work, as we have learned, right? Mahatma Gandhi and the Guarantee Act of 2005, if you remember. Okay, it gives you the right to work for at least 100 days and earn. Okay, so in this way, these are the steps taken to improve the and support the unorganized sector. We saw the classification of society on the basis of employment. Okay, on the basis of employment, it is organized sector and unorganized sector. Now let's look at the classification on the basis of ownership. So when the decision making power for delivery of services is in the hands of a private companies or individuals, it is known as the private sector. Right, the motive of these businesses is in this sector, for this business in this sector, is to earn profit. So private sector intend to gain profit, to earn more and more profit. Okay, they are not doing the business for the social work, for the benefit of the people. So on the other hand, what we can see is when the decision making power for delivery of service is in the hands of the government, it is known as the public sector. So the undertakings, if an industry is following more rule of the government, then it is said to be the public sector. When the decision making is in the hands of the owner of that company, then it is a private sector. Okay, and in the public sector, the aim here is not to earn profits, not to earn more profits, we can say. It is not that they are not earning profits at all, but that is not the main aim. Okay, the government earns its funds through taxes and other such ways. Now they are providing facility. Okay, they are, suppose they are construction, the government is constructing road, so it requires tar, it requires stones, right? It requires the laborers. Even though they are on the contract basis, the government has to pay them something, the wages. So how does this money come from? Where does it come from? Where are the funds? How are the funds raised? Okay, so these are raised through the taxes they collect from the organized sector, the people from the organized sector. For a businessman, he has to pay the income tax. Okay, whatever the profit comes in, on that he has to pay taxes. For the person who is on salary, okay, so also he has to pay professional tax. Okay, we are living in the house, so land taxes there, water taxes are there, electricity bills are there. So all this contributes to the tax and the fund, and this is how the government raise the funds to give more and more facilities to the common man. Getting it? Any doubts up till here? Okay, fine. So we can move ahead, right? So what is that collective money used for? Now they raise the funds, okay, they collect the funds, but what it is used for? So let us see in detail. So a number of activities beneficial for public, like facilities like health and education must be provided to all. Unless and until a good health is there, you cannot get like if you wish to be there in the school, if you're not feeling well, you cannot go. So education as well as health, both are a primary necessary, and that has to primary facility which the government has to provide. Okay, this responsibility is undertaken majorly by the government. In certain cases, the government undertakes the responsibility of collecting and funding activities that are beyond the scope of the private sector. Now, if we take the example of Tata Power, okay, they generate electricity, right, and they distribute it also. But then some rights are in their hands and some rights are in the government hands. So the electricity is taken by the government, it is by like brought from the Tata Power, and then it has been provided to the common man. Okay, so the bill collected are by the government and not by Tata Power. Okay, that is what it wants to see. That see if the private sectors, their mentality is to gain profit, so they will keep the prices of the services high. So the common man cannot like get it. The middle class especially cannot take the facility, enjoy the facility. So the government takes the responsibility of collecting and funding such activities. Now, what are these activities? So, for example, construction of bridges, then generation of electricity, etc. So, generation of electricity, I have already given an example. In some instances, the private sector executes services, but the government shares in the cost to take the burden of the consumers. So that is why what I'm saying, that the government buys things and then it provides it to the public, so that they are not burdened. The consumers don't have to pay the high rates. Okay. Additionally, the government must pay attention to the poor and underdeveloped regions, sorry, ensuring human development across the entire country. So the government and looks on a broader scale. It also has to pay attention to the underdeveloped region, why it is underdeveloped, what is required to make the development of that particular region. They think on that and then accordingly they take the steps. Suppose water supply is not there in few villages in the summer season, you also have the news, right? That such and such village is not, or a small area is not getting water. They have to go walk for kilometers to get the water, and all such news we are able to see, right? Even today, even in the 21st century, even after 75 years of independence, uh, we are reading this. So what's, so the government has to work on this. So these are called as the underdeveloped regions. So how can this be done? By setting dams in the nearby area, and through canals they can divert the water of the dam towards these regions. So the dam, preparation of dam or making of the dam, constructing a dam, that is undertaken by the government, so that the basic necessities of man are at least met easily. Okay. And this is done, this is not for a particular region, only not for the underdeveloped region, but overall across the country the government has to see what is more required for a better development, and better uh, facility should be given to the common man or the individual of the country, the citizens ultimately. See, we have read about this, as I have said, right to work, isn't it? I have highlighted it. Should I zoom this? I think so. I should zoom this, right? Now it is visible more clearly. Yes. So we will go through these pages, few pages quickly. Now, how to protect workers in unorganized sector? The organized sector offers jobs that are the most sought after, but the employment opportunities in the organized sector have been expanding very slowly. It is also common to find many organized sector enterprises in the unorganized sector. They adopt such strategies to evade taxes and refuse to allow laws that protect laborers. As a result, a large number of workers are forced to enter the unorganized sector jobs, which pay a very low salary. They are often exploited and not paid a fair wage. Their earnings are low and not regular. These jobs are not secure and have no other benefits. Since the 1990s, it is also common to see a large number of workers losing their jobs in the organized sector. These workers are forced to take up jobs in the unorganized sector with low earnings. Hence, besides the need for more work, there is also a need of protection and support of the workers in the unorganized sector. Who are these vulnerable people who need protection? So in the rural areas, the unorganized sector mostly compromises of landless agricultural laborers, small and marginal farmers, sharecroppers, and artisans such as weavers, blacksmiths, carpenters, and goldsmiths. Nearly 80% of rural households in India are in the small and marginal farmer category. So this is an important number. So you can, if you have the textbook with you, you can mark this sentence. Should I proceed? Okay, fine. So these farmers need to be supported through adequate facilities for timely delivery of seeds, agricultural inputs, credits, storage facilities, and marketing outlets. So, how can you help the farmer or small farmers or the agricultural workers by giving them timely support of all these things mentioned above? In the urban areas, unorganized sector comprises mainly of workers in small scale industry, casual workers in construction, trade and transport, etc., and those who work on street as vendors. Then head loaded workers, garment workers, rag pickers, etc. So now find out the meanings of this. Small scale industry also needs government's support for procuring raw material and marketing of output. The casual worker in both rural and urban areas need to be protected. So is it only that the rural people are exploited? It's not the case. Even in urban areas, the mentioned people, they also are being facing the same problem as the rural people or rural unorganized sector, people working in rural organized sector. We also find that majority of workers from scheduled caste, tribes, and backward communities find themselves in the unorganized sector. Besides getting the regular and low paid work, these workers also face social discrimination. Protection and support to the unorganized sector workers is thus necessary for both economic and social development. Okay, so we have seen this. Now this is the picture and this is the explanation of the picture. When factories closed down, many once regular workers were found selling goods or pushing a cart or doing some other odd jobs. Let's move on to this sector in terms of ownership, public and private sector. Another way of classifying economic activities into sector could be on the basis of who owns assets and is responsible for the delivery of services. In the public sector, the government owns most of the assets and provide all the services. In the private sector, ownership of asset and delivery of service is in the hands of the private individuals or companies. Now, railways or post office is an example of the public sector, whereas companies like Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, that is TISCO, or Reliance Industries Limited, that is RIL, are privately owned. Now you have a better idea of all these things, right? Activities in the private sector are guided by the motive to earn profits. To get such services, we have to pay money to these individuals and companies. The purpose of the public sector is not just to earn profits. Government raise money through taxes and other such ways to meet expenses on the services rendered by it. Modern day governments spend on the whole range of activities. What are these activities? Why do governments spend on such activities? Let's find out. So there are several things needed by the society as a whole, but which the private sector will not provide at a reasonable cost. Why so? Some of these need spending large sum of money which is beyond the capacity of the private sector. Also, collecting money from thousands of people who use this facility is not easy. Even if they provide these things, they would charge a higher rate of their use. Examples are construction of roads, bridges, railways, harbors, generating electricity, providing irrigation through dams, etc. Thus, governments have to undertake such heavy spending and ensuring that these facilities are available for everyone.
If you like our videos, do share them and subscribe to our channel. If you want awesome quizzes, write to us. Keep watching and keep learning with Walnut.